Welcome to Question Everything. I'm Eli. Today we're diving into videos that's been making the rounds online. No hype, no fear, just thought-provoking questions. Sit back, stay curious, and let's roll the clip. This clip right here, I filmed myself from my area in the UK. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, but the cloud formations that day were unlike anything I've ever seen before. This was filmed by my mate here in the UK. The trail started off thin, then increased, and later spread out much wider across the sky. I swear this ain't normal.
What the fuck is this?
Now, I don't know about you, but I find this strange. You gotta at least question it. But honestly, I don't know exactly what this is. I just can't help wondering if breathing this in is really healthy. Absolutely madness. Let's roll the clip.
Well. Yet another, sorry, just turn my celly down. Yet another conspiracy theory that comes true. So Ben Leo, who works for GB News, put a report out yesterday, and people are going to go, oh, GB News. But he was reporting directly from a 2-hour congressional hearing in the Congress in the USA in Washington, D.C., and played excerpts from that hearing. So it's not like he's making it up. What was the hearing about? Well, the hearing was about geoengineering, weather modification, and chemtrails. So all those people that for years have been taking pictures of the sky and saying, that doesn't look normal. What's coming out of those planes isn't normal. They're doing something to the clouds, they're doing something to the sky, they're putting chemicals into the sky. And people go, no, that's just a conspiracy, that's rubbish, that's not true. Well, it turns out it is true, and it was true. In this congressional hearing, expert after expert testified to the fact that they have been playing around with weather modification, geoengineering, cloud seeding, and putting chemicals into the sky for decades now, but more so in the last 25 years. They are running experiments to try and reflect the rays of the sun to keep the temperature down. They are running experiments to seed clouds to either cause more rain or stop it raining. They're running all sorts of experiments. And how are they doing that? They're putting chemicals into the sky. Where do those chemicals go? Well, inevitably, they come back down to Earth, don't they? They drop onto towns and cities and villages and people, and we breathe them in. And they go into our water and our rivers and our streams, and they go onto our crops and into our food chain. That's inevitable. And many of these experts testified to the fact that we need to have some sort of a multinational agreement as to what can and can't be done, what may or may not be safe, and what should be allowed and shouldn't be allowed. We also need investigations and tests and checks done into what effects it has had, what effects it could have. Do you want these people doing this without not only without your permission, but without your knowledge? The UK government has just given 50 million quid to a company in this country to research this, to research what they can do with geoengineering and cloud seeding and effectively reflecting the sunlight back into the atmosphere to stop it reaching the earth. It's being done. It's been done. It's been going on for years and years and years and years, and it's been denied and denied and denied. And anyone that tried to flag it up was called a tinfoil hat wearer. Well, now, this congressional hearing yesterday, you can go and look it up, has confirmed that it was all true all the time.
I'm waking up from my nap and I see this. I always wondered, like, why is it that some planes have this and some planes don't? They say it's water vapor and it has no harm to us. I call BS. There's no way that this has nothing to do with emitting chemicals on us and weather control. We do this on our life force, air, breath. Wonder, ask questions, and remain curious.
The contrails, not the chemical, the contrails occur because of cold air, minus 30. It takes a high altitude, around 30,000 feet plus. There's carbon dioxide and water vapor in that exhaust. That turns to ice crystals, and that's what you see, the white stream behind it. Those white crystals of ice warm up, dissolve, and the smoke goes away. And it never lasts more than a minute. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural. There's something going on. I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal. It's got to be some outside influence doing that. Thank you.
I'm here to give you testimony that chemtrails, they're not contrails, are indeed real. They're spraying almost every day. I watch the clouds and watch the spraying program going on. I want to tell you that we're in very great danger from the pollution that's coming down over us. And we've been led astray by the military-industrial complex, and they're responsible for the cloud creation and weather manipulation programs. They're dark operations. That's why they're not out in the media.
I look around and I see people are starting to look up and see that. Many times I've spoken about chemtrails, and I get this blank look on my face. What are you talking about? I'm saying, look up. As a pilot, before I fly, I look up. And so, boy, they're really out there working.
When you look up at the sun and you see a white haze, that is aluminum floating in the air right now. And
Whether you believe it or not, this clearly isn't just about the weather anymore. And if that's true, then a lot of what we've been told needs re-examining.
Turns out British viewers and indeed Americans weren't cranks and conspiracy theorists about the weather and geoengineering, chemtrails. An extraordinary hearing just now.
Thank you very much. No, they're not conspiracy theorists. They're not crazy. It actually has been happening for a very long time, not just here in the United States, but also in many countries around the world.
Life grows from the sun. What kind of person would want to block out the sun?
Well, my observation, based on my years here in Congress and also this hearing that I thought was exceptional, is there's a big difference between the right and the left. The right primarily believes that God created the earth and that God controls our atmosphere. The left is primarily godless, and they believe that humans can control the climate, can control the weather, and they believe they have the authority to do it no matter what anyone else thinks.
And it was only in April this year that I told viewers of Ben Leo Tonight back home in the UK that Britain was set to approve funding of up to £50 million for a very strange experiment to dim the sun.
At the very least, it raises some serious questions.
NASA actually has a contrail forecasting site, which isn't really for pilots or anything. It's just part of their contrail research. But yeah, they have a site where it'll predict like where the contrails are going to be.
Which is one of the reasons why you will see a jet pass through one area and you will see a contrail, and then it almost looks like they shut the contrail jets off, and then you see it pick up maybe a couple hundred yards later.
Because all a cloud is a region of the sky where the humidity is above a certain level. And that's great for them because they can just find loads and loads of samples of soil. It's one of like the core tenets.
It's not real. There's no scientific evidence ever uncovered that there's any benefit for anybody of spraying aluminum over people.
I think even with the whole geoengineering field, there's really no solid evidence that it will work.
Now, this is where it gets uncomfortable, because if this is real, it changes everything.
Peace, fam. I got some information we're going to have to break down because a friend of mine dropped some information to me because he was out in the field and decided, after seeing my video, to film this. Now, I'm going to show y'all this, and then I'm going to give y'all a breakdown of what I think.
Of course, there's no engine in here, but these wings are very thin.
Very thin wings.
This 747.
747.
And yes, indeed, these are very, very thin.
Very, very thin.
They're long. They're very, very long.
Ain't no fuel in this motherfucker. Ain't no fuel in it. They're gonna try and tell you it's in the wings. You can see it's not in the motherfucking wings. You got gadgets and electronic wires, all kinds of shit. No fuel blast. Look at the size of that wing. Inside the wing, ain't no fuel in here. Componentry, hydraulics, gears. Told ya. Oh, I got this good. Now, I'm taking this F-16, I'm gonna take the F-14, the Tomcat, I'm taking all of them. Yeah, y'all fucked up. Ain't no way. Where's the fuel? My man all up in here. Ain't no fuel.
These don't look like fuel lines. These look like water, like cooling lines. This looks like all cooling lines. These look like some kind of lubrication. That might be a cooling line also. I don't see any, because this wing, it folds up. It's on a hinge.
No fuel.
And I don't see anywhere where fuel would be. This maybe could be fuel. This hose definitely isn't fuel. This could be oil to keep this hinge. Yeah, this is probably just oil to keep this hinge lubricated. I'm not seeing any fuel line.
Hydraulics.
But what do I know?
So as you can see, something is not right here. Because the 747 says it has 66,000 gallons of fuel, and it says most of it is in the wings. Not these motherfuckers. This joint right here is supposed to have 12,000 pounds of fuel. 12,000 pounds? God damn, that's 6 tons of fuel on here? I think the fuck not. But when the mind's blind, the eyes can't see, but minds can.
Now we're cooking up something crazy.
Guys, I just cracked the code. I just went down this super deep rabbit hole, and I know for a fact that jets don't use any fuel to fly. Now, I know this might sound crazy, but stick with me. I promise you that there's something here. First of all, I want you to notice this. This is on the roof of an ancient Indian temple. An extremely and eerily similar design to an airline jet turbine. Let's take this one step further. These pillars on these ancient temples strongly resemble what a turbine looks like, the whole design of it. These pillars also rotate. Now, whether you're aware of it or not, these ancient temples were power plants. They generated free energy. Now let's think about this for a second. We are told that a Boeing 747 carries 63,500 gallons of fuel. Where exactly do they put all of this? This is a 60,000 gallon water tank. Just for reference, guys, just think for a second. They say that the fuel is stored in the wings. Where? How does that make any sense to you? This is where this gets really interesting. I was doing some research and this is what I came across, and it made a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm just going to read this for you guys. There's an airplane called the Airbus A380. It weighs 575 tons. Now, to make this absolute mammoth leave the ground and not slam back down to the earth 1 second later, they use ultrasonic levitation, superconductivity, and pulse magnetic 0-point Meissner fields. Jet fuel only powers the turbines to start up, and they cut off from combustion and switch to etheric energy once they reach a certain speed. And this happens when there is a good flow of electrostatic electricity. This is quite literally ancient tech, Hartarian technology, Nikola Tesla's technology. Think about this. Examine how long it takes them to pump fuel in between flights. 60,000 gallons. It literally only takes a few minutes. It almost takes a passenger car less time to fill up a fucking plane. A passenger car requires 2,000 times less fuel. Even if this pump was pumping 10 times more fuel than an average pump at the gas station, it would take them roughly 17 hours to fill up 60,000 gallons. 60,000 gallons in these wings? Are you serious? And when we start to assess the intricate design of these turbines and how they're not really used anywhere else in the world except for jet engines, it's kind of interesting, right? Don't you think it's possible that they stole this technology from our ancient ancestors, hiding free energy in plain sight, and as well as charging us out the ass to get on a plane because of all the jet fuel that they gotta consume? This also would explain contrails and how planes just spray straight up water vapor and then it just disappears. Unlike, a combustion engine from the back of our cars that have a different type of smoke. This is a chemtrail. This stays in the air forever and disperses and blocks out the sun. Beyond the point, that's a contrail. And that would explain contrails, right? Am I crazy or is this making sense to you guys? Let us know.
If technology like this exists, it raises a bigger question. Who decides what we get to see?
Okay, let me explain the trickery to you here. Basically, what happens in a plane is this is designed to suck in air at a high rate and create like a turbo engine to basically suck in air here, pressurize it, and blow it out the back. That pushes the plane forward. The only thing this fuel injection atomizer is used for, tiny little spark of fuel in here, this will create thrust. When do we need that thrust? Takeoff. For 1% of the plane's functioning, takeoff. The whole rest of the ride is just sucking in compressed air and blowing it out the back. Watch this video. At the end, I'm gonna cap this together and show y'all, because what y'all don't realize is this system shows you that these afterburners are burning the whole time and fire is coming out the back, and it's not. That's why when you're on a commercial airliner and you're looking at these, you don't see any fire coming out the back. You see them on jet fighter planes, don't you? Why? Because they are thrusting and using fuel the entire time.
We will explain the
Peep
technology behind the jet engine in a logical, step-by-step manner. A jet engine keeps an aircraft moving forward using a very simple principle, the same that makes an air-filled balloon move. Yes, Newton's third law of motion. Just like the reaction force produced by the air moves the balloon, the reaction force produced by the high-speed jet at the tail of the jet engine makes it move forward. So the working of jet engine is all about producing a high-speed jet at the exit. The higher the speed of the jet, the greater the thrust force. The thrust force makes an aircraft move forward. Such high-speed exhaust is achieved by a combination of techniques. If you can heat the incoming air to a high temperature, it will expand tremendously and will create the high-velocity jet. For this purpose, a combustion chamber is used. An atomized form of the fuel is burnt in the combustion chamber. Effective combustion requires air to be at moderately high temperature and pressure. To bring the air to this condition, a set of compressor stages are used. The rotating blades of the compressor add energy to the fluid, and its temperature and pressure rise to a level.
I worked for Boeing for a long time on 737 and 747. I can't say that I ever seen a fuel cell. The way everything is riveted, high lock to fasten the various skins to structural framework, I don't see how there wouldn't be many small leaks. There would absolutely have to be a bladder. That's why I showed you that video of the guy inside the wing. Anybody with half a brain knows you would have to have some kind of enclosed bladder system for a flammable liquid. I seen first and had to seal certain areas myself, but the sealers they use would never in a million years hold up at every fastener location or skin lap. No way. There should be thousands of photos of fuel bladders for the millions of planes built over the decades. I can't find any. This is a person who worked on these planes. No fuel bladder. No fuel bladders for any planes. And no, there isn't just fuel loaded into a wing with a bunch of rivets where it could just leak out at anywhere. You and I both know that. Maybe because planes don't actually use fuel. Compressed air engine technology. Here's the actual translation. There was no fuel in the system. Therefore, evidence that it crashed due to a lack of fuel. There was also no fuel in the APU. Therefore, strengthening our hypothesis. This is the autopsy of a plane that crashed, and they wanted to try and say that the plane crashed because it was out of fuel, but they found no fuel anywhere in the plane at all. What you would see consistently coming out of the back of a plane if it was burning fuel the whole time. Like jet fighters. Hear that sound? Exactly. Now, I got one more thing to show y'all, because everybody's a skeptic, and I get it. They want to tell you they're combusting fuel consistently on a flight. This flame is coming out because they're heating up all this compressed air, right? You know what that means? Whatever air is coming out of the back of here, this burner, should be like 1800 degrees. It should be scorching hot. It shouldn't just be pressurized air, right? Because if I'm right, then a bunch of extremely high pressured air should be coming out of the back and not flames, correct? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. This car is in front of the engine. It's behind the engine. Look at what the engine is doing to it. The engine, it's so powerful, it just took the car and threw it It just threw the car. Now, no flames. Now, do y'all realize in that video, that car sat there and let that plane just blow on it for like 5 to 8 seconds before it blew it away? Was that car being bombarded with high heat? Did the windows get melted off? Did you notice that the window was actually open? So the driver wasn't even worrying about high temperatures. Why? That engine is taking Jet A1 fuel, burning it, right? And it's blowing it out the back. So what happened just now? Because I'm sorry, but it just looked like a car got blown away with high pressure air. Y'all want to keep explaining and talking about fuel in these engines? You've been lied to. Okay? Do your research. You've been lied to. And if you even calculate how much fuel these planes need to use that they're claiming they use, you'd realize, yo, they're not using fuel. They're not. You'd have to be burning a gallon a second. Come on, man. One more time. No fire. Nothing burning out the back. But somehow this plane is producing a lot of power, enough power to throw a car across a football field. You seeing what I'm saying? When I tell y'all these motherfuckers use air as the fuel, listen to me. These are air turbine engines designed to suck air in, compress it, and blow it out the back. If you can prove me wrong, by all means, go ahead. F-14s, the jet fighters in the military, their afterburners are on consistently. They're using fuel. These are using air. That's why those ain't even called airplanes. They're called jet fighter planes for the jet fuel they use. These are called airplanes for the air fuel they use. Bye.
This is where it stops feeling like coincidence, because once is a claim, but when you see this many examples across different times and places, it makes you pause. If even part of this is real, it raises a serious question. Was technology like this discovered and then quietly buried? A world without fuel is a world without dependence, and maybe that's why ideas like this never get a fair conversation. I'm not saying this proves anything, but it definitely gives you something to think about.
Peace. We're going to take a look at the construction of these commercial planes. And let's just see if maybe, just maybe, they're missing something. Oh, I got they ass this time.
The first flight happens, even long before the first rivet is set. A team of thousands of engineers and designers spend years developing the design for both the aircraft and how it'll be manufactured. They have to take into account the desired passenger capacity, the range and speed of the plane, passenger comfort, requirements for landing and navigating airports, flight controls, fuel efficiency, how and where materials and parts will be sourced and produced, and a million and sundry other details. Over the course of the design, engineers use computer simulations and wind tunnel models to test the aerodynamics of the aircraft in its takeoff, cruising, and landing configurations, and even use scale model engines powered by compressed air to understand the wing-engine interaction. Fluid dynamics is freaking complicated. All of the various systems have to be independently tested. The wing flaps and the landing gear deployment and the engines, and so on. They even shoot several dead ducks into the engine at high speed to make sure it can continue to provide thrust if it encounters a flock of birds. Once a plane is designed, the parts, all 2.65 million of them, have to be manufactured and assembled, some by Airbus itself, and many, like the engines and landing gear, by outside contractors. In the case of the A350 aircraft, the wing tops and bottoms are made in an additive process using carbon fiber-infused resinous tape, which is then cured in a massive oven until it becomes stronger and lighter than steel. Let me say that again. That is going to be an airplane wing, made out of tape. The wing boxes are assembled and fitted with electrical, hydraulic, and fuel systems, painted, and then the flaps, slats, and ailerons, the things they use to steer, are added. The ginormous tail fin is constructed in a similar fashion. The fuselage, and rear pressure bulkhead are built separately, again out of carbon fiber composite materials, and are wired and outfitted with instrumentation and hydraulics. The nose of the aircraft is added, and then all the parts built off-site are flown by a special and hilarious-looking airplane part carrying airplane to the final assembly line, where in a single stupendously massive hangar, the fuselage pieces are fastened together, the wings are connected, landing gear installed, auxiliary power unit put in place, vertical stabilizer and horizontal tailplane are attached, seats and ventilation and cabin and cockpit interiors are installed, etc. Finally, at the very end, it's time for the engines. They're the most expensive part, so they're put on last. The plane then undergoes in-flight testing to make sure all the systems are working as intended. When a new aircraft is being developed, the first few planes built are covered with sensors and tested extensively to the range of their limits. Cold weather, hot weather, high altitude, water on the runway, tail scraping on low-speed takeoff, wing bending strength, etc. And in addition to this extensive prototype testing, every single plane that comes off the assembly line is taken on its own test flights. Once the test pilots and test flight engineers are happy, we're done. The plane heads out onto the runway for delivery to an airline somewhere around the world.
So straight out the gate, if you notice, the components are made in multiple different locations, and then they all come together at the end. This means just like when you have different jurisdictions where you have a serial killer hopping from state to state to state to state, and the police in Pennsylvania don't know what's happening with the victims in Missouri. Well, it's the same exact thing when they're building this plane. Like somebody who works on the wing, who works on this part, doesn't know anything about the engine or what the guy that's doing this working on the fuselage is working on the... So they're basically separated. But let's go a step further. Let's just take a look here. Because once again, there's supposed to be thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of fuel in here. Look at it. There's a wire going across right there. You can see all the components right here. They're not even done yet. There's going to be more wires and more gadgets. There's more pipes and hydraulics. Because remember, this wing here, it has to open and the flaps and everything. You just saw them tell you about designing it. They didn't talk about any fuel tanks going in these wings. Just take a look. Y'all know me. I'm coming with my receipts, man. Take a look. Inside the wing, I keep telling people, just pull up. Pull up on me. If there's fuel in the wing, just pull up and show me. I got a whole post right here on my page asking if anybody on planet Earth can find an aircraft mechanic, an aircraft tech, a refueling guy, anybody with proof of images of fuel tanks, and I will send you $100 right now. Do you know that post is sitting there dry? I still got my bread on me. Why? What? This is easy. We all got smartphones, right? I would have shut this guy up by now. I would have been like, yo, take that hose, pump this fuel out. We want to show this dude there's really thousands and thousands of gallons of fuel in these wings. I'm just trying to expose these fools. Yeah, y'all do all this stuff about asking questions. How about you just look at the simple... There is 8 billion people on the planet. Y'all seen my series already. I done did 8-part, multiple part series. Every single white NPC, every single white mechanic, every single white wannabe smart guy constantly comes on every video, every post and says the same thing. Me and my dad, we built them. Me and my dad, we were craftsmen. Me and my dad used to fuel. Me and my dad used to... Everybody has a story. I don't have stories. I have videos. I have proof. I have specs. Where are yours? I'm out in the field. I'm showing y'all planes with the wings open and that. Where are yours? Where are your receipts? This is them right here, loading all of these wires into the wing. Where is the fuel going? You're loading all these wires into this wing. Where are the fuel bladders? Oh, we're testing the wing upside down. We're flapping this. There's no fuel tanks in here. If you're stress testing this wing, because it's going to be going up and down, it's going to be going up and down with thousands of gallons of fuel in here. This shouldn't be dry. You should be stress testing this wing
with fluid in it. Hey, if you're an engine, anybody out there agree? If you're telling us there's thousands of gallons of fuel in the wing, it should be stress tested with liquid in it. There's no liquid in that wing. It's dry. There's no fucking fuel in it. That is common sense. I don't need to go to MIT to figure that out. They're not stress testing this with any liquid in it. Then they said, the engine, we're going to test the engine using what? Compressed air? Y'all keep asking, well, what is it? Compressed air, goddammit. They're testing the engine with compressed air. Why?
Compressed air to understand the wing-engine interaction. Fluid dynamics powered by compressed air to understand the wing-engine interaction. Fluid dynamics powered by compressed air to understand the wing-engine interaction. Fluid dynamics powered by compressed air to understand the wing-engine interaction.
Powered by compressed air. You heard it yourself. That's what they're testing the engines with. Why? Because that's what they're going to be using. That's what they're powered by. And just to wrap this up, the pressure alone to refuel this plane fast enough with as much fuel as they say in here, the pressure alone would blow right through this fucking wing. Right through that. Look. If he's here, there's nothing in here. The pressure would just blow right through the top. Let's just stop with the bullshit. They're not pumping fuel into this wing. They recharge these electric planes. No gas. This is a lie.
We've looked at what's in the sky, but next time we're going deeper. Ty will be leading episode 3. Until then, let us know your thoughts in the comments and question everything.